Welcome back to the Beauty Lab podcast. I'm your host, Velia, and this is my co-host, Monina. And today we're going to be talking to Monina about some questions that we have received from you, our listeners. So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Welcome to the Beauty Lab podcast, your drive time resource for all things beauty, health, and wellness. We're your hosts and favorite beauty nerds, Monina and Velia.
Join us as we debunk myths, explore the latest trends, and dive deep into the science behind your favorite products. We'll interview industry experts and answer your burning beauty questions in 30 minutes or less.
So Monina, our first question is about choosing a toner. So a lot of people don't even know that you're supposed to use a toner after you cleanse your face. So the question I keep seeing pop up is, how do you know what kind of toner to buy?
This is a good question because I think a lot of reasons why people even skip this whole step is because they don't even know the reason why they're doing it. So toners have changed though, because I remember in the past, all you ever thought about toners was like witch hazel, right? So that most toners in the past were more alcohol based. So it was meant to just be stripping. So like people with oily skin, they loved it, right? Because it like got rid of the oil. So it was more alcohol based. It was very stripping. Now toners are more like, think of them as like treatment waters, refreshers. That's even sometimes in the names now, the little spray bottles, or essence lotions. So toners are meant to hydrate, lightly exfoliate, and mainly to balance the skin, to balance the pH of your skin.
Okay.
Now, with that in mind, depending on your skin type, then there's going to be certain ingredients that you're going to want to look for in a toner. So if you're more on the dry side, then you want more of a hydrating toner. You're going to want to look for ingredients in your toner that says something like a hyaluronic acid, glycerin, or even aloe. So that's for if you have drier skin. Now, if you have more oily combination or like acneic skin like myself, you want something that's called a clarifying toner. So ingredients you're going to want to see in your toner are things like a salicylic acid, a niacinamide, and a green tea. Those are like really good choices as far as the ingredients for someone with oily or acne skin. Now, if you're on the sensitive side, you want something that's more of a calming toner. And so you'll find those type of toners are almost like a pinky color because they've got like a chamomile in there, more like a calendula because those are all really calming, or panthenol, vitamin B. That's what you want if you have more like on the sensitive side.
Okay.
Also on the dry, I feel like those ingredients are also very calming and soothing. So that would also be good for someone with drier skin. Now, if you're trying to find a toner and you have a lot of pigmentation, because you can mix and match these. So let's say you really want to target your pigmentation issue. Well, then you want your toner to be more of a brightening toner. So you're probably going to see things like lactic acid, mandelic acid, or licorice root, because those are all brightening ingredients for your toner. Now, you probably didn't realize there were so many different types of toners out there. Yeah. And then if you're like aging, you want more of like an anti-aging. Well, again, you want the hydrating, but then you're going to want like peptides in there as well. So those are going to be like all the different types of toners on the market, and then again, based on your skin type, that's how you choose.
Okay. Well, and if you don't know your skin type, don't you have something that you can...
Yeah, actually what I can do is, because we talked about that a long time ago in another episode, but I have something we can put in the show notes, and you can just click on it, and it's just an easy guide, kind of like a little quiz so that you know exactly what you are.
Okay, awesome. I thought you had something that you've offered before.
Thank you. I always forget about that, but definitely share that with you guys.
Great. Okay, so the second question is about Brazilian waxing. I see this question actually asked a lot, and I know that I've even asked you this question. If you happen to start your period the day or during the time you're supposed to be getting a Brazilian wax, should you cancel your Brazilian wax appointment, or are you still able to work around that?
Yeah, this is definitely a common question. So absolutely, you do not have to cancel if you can handle being more sensitive. You don't have to cancel, because the solution is you just wear a tampon. And having the tampon in is all you need, and we can just go about doing our business, right? But interestingly enough, I have to tell you the story. The first time I learned how to do a Brazilian wax, my instructor was always in the room with me, and she would like jump in and help out, or she would start it and then I would finish it. Well, when she thought I was ready, she decided, okay, baptism by fire, you're going in there by yourself. I'm not even going to be in the room. I'll be outside. I was so nervous because it was my first time in the room by myself to do a Brazilian. And this gal was a brand new client. Like even my instructor had never seen her. So she comes in and guess what? She's like, oh, by the way, I just started my period and I have a tampon on. Is that okay? And I'm like, oh, you know, just like the pro that we are, right? We stay calm. I'm like, should be fine. Just go ahead and, you know, get yourself ready. I'm just going to go grab something. I ran out the door and I grabbed my instructor and went, she's on her period. She's like, well, does she have a tampon? I'm like, yeah. She goes, it's fine. Just push the string to the side. You'll be fine. I'm like, okay. So now, you know, years later, when people say, I'm on my period, can you do it? It's like no big deal to me because I'm like, that was my very first one all by myself. So it is, for me as the esthetician, it's not a big deal. But for you, if you're more sensitive, because you have to understand when you are on your period, right? And we all know this, you're more sensitive. You just, everything is just like, everything hurts more. Mm-hmm. So you just have to be aware that if you're going to come in and get a Brazilian, which is not a painless experience to begin with, just know there's going to be a little bit more pain, right? You're more sensitive. There's going to be a little bit more inflammation afterwards as well. So I always suggest you can actually take like an ibuprofen or something like that, like a half hour, 45 minutes before you come in. That will usually help with like the inflammation and the sensitivity to the skin. It works for most people. It may not always work for everyone. So if you're planning to come in for the first time on your period, go ahead and take like an ibuprofen or a Tylenol. I suggest, though, because we know most of us are regular, so we kind of know when our period is going to happen. So best time I find is mid-cycle. So probably a week after your period, you're not going to be as sensitive. Again, this is going to be different for everybody, but mid-cycle seems to be kind of like a sweet spot. Another tip I have is avoid caffeine before the waxing. For some reason, the caffeine also increases your sensitivity. And if you're going to exfoliate the day before, like at least 24 hours before, not the day of. Okay. Because then you're just irritating the skin before we do the wax, and then it's definitely not gonna be fun.
Okay, I have a question because I know that other people are gonna wonder this as well.
Sure.
So let's put you in the scenario where someone comes in, they have a tampon in, and now you're waxing. How do you keep the tampon from getting pulled out accidentally?
Oh, because of the string?
Yes.
Okay. I learned this from another esthetician. So you could take a little bit of the wax, because I always use a hard wax. I put a little bit of the hard wax on the opposite side, and I stick the end of the string so that the string isn't flopping around.
Okay.
And then if I have to, I could clip it. But most of the time, it just comes right off the wax, because it's a hard wax, because it cools, and then I just pull it off.
Okay, so you glue the string to their inner thigh.
Exactly.
Perfect.
So it's out of my way.
Out of the way. You're not going to accidentally rip it out.
Yeah. Oh, that would not be good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
You're welcome. I'm sure you were wondering.
Okay, so I hope that helped.
Also, in addition to those questions, what about like if it's been a really long time, like let's say they're religious about getting their Brazilians spring, summer, into fall, but like winter, they're like, nah.
Gonna let it go.
We're gonna let it go. When they start coming back, should they shave? Should they trim? Like what's the ideal situation there for hair length?
Yeah, it's funny you ask this question, because I feel like clients worry about this way more than they need to. But yes, the ideal hair length is going to be the size of a grain of rice. That's what I tell them. So it doesn't have to be that long.
Yeah.
But if you haven't come for a long time, I get it. you kind of are concerned because, if the hair is long, it can be more painful because the wax isn't really, well, it pulls the hair out, but it's not pulling it from the roots. So that lag, if the hair is long, pulling is definitely going to be more of a painful experience. So what I suggest is you can trim slightly, but I don't want you to shave. It's not necessarily. And if you do happen to shave, I would have to have you come back because we need that growth about 3 weeks worth. So if you're going to shave, just know you need to let it grow for at least 3 weeks before you come in and get it waxed. Otherwise, it's kind of a waste of time because the hair isn't going to be long enough for the wax to grab onto.
So when you say shave, you don't mean like with the trimmers shave. You mean like shave with
like a razor.
Got it.
Yeah,
So shave bald. You don't.
Right. You don't.
That's not a good plan.
That's not a good plan. Like you might as well not come in at all then because you've already shaved all the hair off. So don't shave. And if you have shaved, wait 3 weeks.
Okay.
You don't want to trim it. If you're going to trim it, you don't want it super short because again, you come in and I'm not going to be able to pull anything out. So it's just better to not touch it at all because most estheticians, because for myself, I will trim it and I trim it to the length I need it. So you might as well just let the experts deal with it. Don't worry about it. Just come on in, and it'll probably take a little longer because we do have to trim it. But other than that, then everything else is going to be exactly the same. Yeah. You don't.
And it's not weird. It might sound weird to have someone else trim it before they wax it.
Yeah.
But it's just what they do.
Yeah. And trust me, it's more comfortable if we do trim it down shorter. Otherwise, like I said, that lag of pulling that longer hair is definitely going to increase the pain. So
Awesome. Well, I'm sure that has answered a lot of questions.
Yeah, I hope so.
Because Brazilian wax, it's like, who do you ask if it's, you don't usually, if you're calling if you're, I don't know, let's say you're going to like European Wax Center or something like that, I don't really know how much information they're going to give you about all that, or if they're going to they're so like quick there that I feel like even their phone calls are a little.
Yeah, and a place where they're just rotating door, they may not have the time to trim. So maybe in that case, you should trim it yourself. But no, for me, I give everyone the same amount of time, and if I have to trim it, I have to trim it. It's no big deal. I do want to point out another tip is if you do feel Brazilians are super uncomfortable for you, especially if you're going in that time of the month, another thing you can apply prior, like a half hour, 45 minutes before, is lidocaine. And you can get a 4% lidocaine over the counter, like at a CVS or a pharmacy.
Okay, it's like a gel, it's in a tube, and you just apply it directly to the area?
Yep, the area that you're getting waxed, and you want to put on a good amount, but you want to do it at least half hour to 45 minutes before the appointment because you need time to kind of get into the skin and kind of numb it up.
All right.
So
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I do have one more question for you, but before I ask you, if you're enjoying this episode or you've learned anything from this episode, please give us a like. We would love for you to share. We would love for you to subscribe to our channel. It helps us so much, and we appreciate your questions because without your questions, we wouldn't have had some of our episodes. So my last question to you is, what is the difference between an exfoliating mask and a retinol serum?
So this is a good question. The difference between the two is that, first of all, they're both exfoliating products. So they're going to help with cellular turnover and to exfoliate the skin. But they work differently and they work at different depths in the skin. So that's like the main difference. So let's first go over what the exfoliating mask does. And for me, an exfoliating mask is more like a manual exfoliation where you've got like the little grains. So like in a clay mask, and sometimes they have the little exfoliating grains. This is, because it's more of an abrasive, because it's got the little beads, this is going to be something you're only going to use 1 to 2 times a week. You don't want to this is how some people can actually over exfoliate by using the exfoliating mask. It also helps to remove the dead cells on the surface. So you're removing maybe some pigmentation, some buildup of dead skin. It also helps with the texture then, because you're removing all that dead skin. So then the texture of the skin looks a little smoother, a little brighter. If you've got like blackheads, whiteheads, like the congestion in the skin, that manual exfoliating can actually help to alleviate the congestion in the pores. Also, it's going to help with more dull skin. It's going to brighten the skin, and it can actually help with some mild pigmentation. Not deep pigmentation, but mild.
Okay.
So that's more like your exfoliating mask, like your manual mechanical mask. Okay. On the other side, you've got your retinol serums. And in another episode, we talked about retinoic acid and retinols and all that. It is an exfoliator, but this is something you're actually going to use nightly. Whereas the exfoliating mask, you're only using 1 to 2 times a week because otherwise it's just too abrasive on the skin, because this is a serum.
Right.
It's going deeper into the skin, but there's no abrasive action at all to the surface of the skin. So you want to use this nightly because this is something that you want to penetrate and get deeper into the skin. This is what's going to help with those darker pigmentation issues that you might have. So you're increasing the cellular turnover. You're also stimulating collagen with the retinol serums, and it helps with aging skin. It helps with your acne, again, the pigmentation, fine lines and wrinkles. It also does improve skin texture, just like the exfoliating mask. And it's more of your long-term change, and it goes deeper into the skin. So this is something that is a nightly routine that you would want to incorporate. Now, you don't want to do both on the same day.
I was going to ask.
Yeah, because again, it's just too much. Because they're both exfoliators. You don't need 2 exfoliators on the same day. So if you're going to do your exfoliating mask, let's say on a Sunday night, then maybe the retinol you do the rest of the week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now, if you find some sensitivity or getting really red because you're using the retinol serum every night, then you can maybe do it every other night.
Okay.
Instead of every night. But the whole purpose of the retinol serum is for it to penetrate and go deeper to create that long-term change in the skin.
Okay.
So that's really the difference between the two. And I hope that made sense.
Yeah. And if you have more questions about retinols, we have an awesome episode where Monina explains all the different types of retinol, and it's very extensive and super duper helpful.
Yeah.
So check that out. Okay, awesome. Well, thanks for all of that.
You're
And
welcome.
I know I learned a lot, and I'm
Yay.
sure that everyone else did. And answering some of those uncomfortable questions about Brazilian waxing
Yeah.
is always helpful. That
Yeah.
we don't know who asked it, but someone was asking for a friend. Well, thanks, Monina.
You're welcome.
And thank you again at home for continuing to hang out with us every week. I'm Velia.
I'm Monina.
And until next time,
Keep experimenting with your beauty routine. Okay.
okay. Okay. All right. But you have lipstick on your teeth. Ready?
Ready.
Oh, sorry, Jen.
Please.
Oh, all right. All right. Okay.
Okay. I'm good. Okay. All right.
Sorry, Jen. Oh, is Velia? Let me do that over. I don't even remember what I was saying. Well, my name is Velia.
Yeah.
In case you didn't catch it the first time. Mask.